Welcome back to the All Heard Podcast, Part 2 with the Jake Brown. Unfortunately, we filmed this once, and then the sound got botched in uploading, which was not great. And so we're back yet again. Thanks for walking 2 feet into this room and being here today.
No problem. It's I'm glad to be here. Glad to take the journey over.
Truly, it's great. Yesterday, very special day, very important day for you, was your birthday.
It was.
Happy belated birthday from the Y'all Heard podcast. Yeah.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
Huge for the program. So fun fact, Jake actually has funded this entire effing setup, which is like incredible. Thanks so much. Because it's not every day that your boss lets you build a podcast studio in your office, and we may be building another one soon. TBD. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Follow, and share all of our social media
so we can build it.
We'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, for context, it stinks because I feel like I'm re-saying everything I said in the last episode. But that's what I'm gonna.
No, that's fine. I mean, we're the only people who.
Exactly.
Ran
but
that through.
This is true. So Jake is actually my boss. A boss of about 365 days now. It's about a year from when I quit my other job, so that's crazy. But yeah, Jake is my boss, great boss. Definitely feels like big brother mentor role for me for sure. The finance bro that won't mansplain crypto to you for sure. So but no.
Add it to my LinkedIn.
Add it. That needs to be your LinkedIn profile thing. That's awesome. But no, Jake's seriously been great. I've learned a lot from him. He's been through a lot of shit in the short amount of time he's been on this earth, 35 years, halfway to 70. Huge for the program. So dad, author, in recovery, coach, fucking real estate guru, private equity guru, all the things.
Yeah, I don't know about guru, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah, damn sure.
And no, this studio, everything in here it's so cool to sit in here and see it. Because you and I have had these discussions about, kind of what we want to do, what we love about Oklahoma City, and the ability to not only talk about what our company's doing in Oklahoma City and beyond, but also, have the ability to showcase awesome entrepreneurs, awesome people who are doing cool things in Oklahoma City. And it's cool that we have this just, in the office to do that. So.
Yeah, no, it definitely is great. And it's been fun for me because I'm not great at a lot of things, but talking is one of them, and talking to people is one of them. So
that'll get you further than you think.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. But we'll just go through part 2, basically what we did last time. So tell us what exactly you do, how you got here. Just give us a blurb, elevator pitch.
Yeah, no. So how I got here, it's been 3.5 or 4 years ago now, but our current partners, TMJ Capital, Ty and Morgan, and I got together.
The jaw disease trio.
Yeah, for sure. The jaw disease trio. Man.
Kidding.
No, I didn't know what TMJ was. We filmed a video where truly we just took our initials and put them together, and we didn't realize that, it's a jaw disorder.
And what
jaw
are
disorder
you?
Capital.
You're the J.
I'm the J. I know. Yeah, no, never thought I'd be making the cringiest influencer videos of all time in the office, but here we are. They're great.
They make for great content, for sure.
They for sure do. They for sure do. But no, Ty Morgan and I got together initially. Ty Morgan are veterinarians. We kind of created a model where we took their expertise, my expertise, and kind of put it together. So acquiring veterinary clinics, as well as doing real estate development. That's kind of spiraled a little bit into investing in startups, and we still, dabble in real estate and vet clinics, pet boarding, all the above. So, we're just kind of growing it while attempting to stay in our lane as much as we can. We veer from that lane from time to time, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it bites us. But we're learning along the way, and that's kind of the most important thing. It's just, we want to learn, we want to get better, we want to grow TMJ, and invest in Oklahoma City and beyond.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's definitely been a great avenue for me. So first off, thanks for hiring me. And then second off, no, it's definitely been great for me because I feel like, a lot of people my age or a lot of people that are watching this are like entering that post grad or like big transition phase of their lives. And it's like nobody truly knows what they want to be when they grow up. And I feel like I'm being given a really unique opportunity to kind of get a different perspective into all of these different fields of work, and I get to do all of them, which is super fun.
Yeah, no, and you guys, like you and like your generation coming out of college, it's like I think about everything that I've done since I was your age, and it's a lot. And some of it good, some of it really bad. But when I went to college, I wanted to be a pilot. And then I wanted to be a basketball coach. And then I got into banking. And then I got into like commercial construction for an electrical distributor. And then kind of graduated into single family homes, Airbnbs. And then, kind of formed that into the model with Ty & Morgan that we have now. But yeah, no, I mean, I ran the gauntlet of things, and you just kind of figure it out as you go.
No, and I think that's definitely a conversation to be had because I feel like a lot of people my age, like, or just in general, like there's a lot of pressure to like stay in one job. I mean, I really think of the B-movie scene where it's like they're on that little roller coaster and they're seeing all the different jobs, and she's like, and you'll just pick one job for the rest of your life. And I think that's scary for a lot of people because, too, I think societally and also from like older generations, they view people not enjoying what they're doing and deciding to venture off and do something else as quitting, when it's really just repositioning to like be happier and do what you want. And so I think that's really important, and I think it's really great that you have that, or that you got to go through that in order to get where you are too.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I've been fired from jobs, I've been I've quit different things, quit. I haven't really.
Does that include the Red Bull, or was it Monster?
The first job I ever got fired from, Monster Energy, in college. I was a rep for Monster Energy. You may be looking at me right now and saying, "Man, you encompass everything that a Monster Energy drink rep should be." But the fine people at Monster Energy drink did not think so.
Well, the fine people at Monster Energy also thought that Monster branded condoms would be a good idea, which I think is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, no, that among other things, mainly, I mean, in defense of Monster, I was terrible at my job. I didn't have giant barbed wire tattoos on my arms and anything like that, which I felt like at the time would have been helpful, but I really didn't put any effort at all into that job, so I was rightfully let go from that job. But I was like 20 and an idiot, so that's my defense. But no, like on that subject, in all seriousness, we like in coaching, like, so forgive me, I speak in cliches a lot, but
all good. We love cliches in Hobby Lobby. Just kidding. We don't love Hobby Lobby, but we do like making fun of the signs that they produce. So
no, I mean, like I encourage my own kids to finish what they start and not quit different things.
Yeah, of course.
See things through to the end. But yeah, no, I mean, if you're unhappy in a position you're in, sort of like you were, it's you've got a lot of life to live. And I mean, literally, I've had like almost like 3 different phases of life since I was your age and kind of figuring out what I want to do. And I still don't have it completely figured out. But I mean, I think that's like, that vulnerability is important to like show to you all, because I think generations above us, you know, are not as willing to talk about like, yeah, no, I did this, but I hated it. Or like, I was in this career, but like it sucked. I just did it because, you know, I was told this is what I had to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think that's the shift we're headed towards for your all's generation, my kids' generation, absolutely, and beyond.
I definitely think that the whole like, you know, boundaries and doing what makes you happy thing can like get to a point where it's like a little much. Like, yeah, you do need to see through or finish what you started, because that's definitely something that's been instilled in me from a young age. But I'm glad, it's refreshing to hear that like you think, you know, there comes a point where it's like life's too short to have a shitty boss.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Life's too short to stay in a friendship or a relationship or like doing something that you just absolutely effing hate. Because I think you're right with older generations is they do. I mean, there is a tendency, or like there's a pattern that I've noticed that like, you know, a husband and wife absolutely hate each other, but they've stayed together because that's what they've been taught to do. And, you know, divorce is like such a blah subject for everyone. So, and, you know, same with the job thing, and same with, you know, just people get complacent because they think that's what they're supposed to do. And totally. I think, you know, you only get one time on this earth unless reincarnation is real. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know what my past life is, if it is, so I'm clueless.
Yeah, I mean, I probably did some bad stuff if I, you know, to walk through some of the things anyway.
No, let's get into it.
We can.
Let's crack into it.
No, but the complacency is, in my opinion, just absolutely like toxic. The comfortability in, you know, something that's not like benefiting you.
Yeah. How does that relate to like your experience?
I was actually thinking about that like today, because I knew we were coming in and knocking this out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about like, and this is again, like back to coaching, talking about like being, you know, comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of the things that we do as a company that like I ask like my players to do in coaching mm-hmm. is to really be comfortable being uncomfortable, because, you know, in that uncomfortability, like you are uncomfortability. Words are hard. They are. I don't articulate well, apparently.
It's all good. No, I think you're doing great. You're killing it.
I appreciate it. But we find that like true growth happens when you're uncomfortable, because you're digging deep, you're figuring out things about yourself that you wouldn't otherwise figure out if you weren't put in that uncomfortable mm-hmm. position. And for me, you know, in basketball, you know, that is, you know, figuring out, you know, opposing teams, what they do, finding out what we do well as a team, finding out what needs to be tweaked so that our team can, you know, get to a point where they're as successful as they need to be. And then, you know, in life, it's like, you go to high school, you go to college, you know, learn certain things that are like in a, you know, curriculum that gets you, you know, a pretty average path, a pretty standard mm-hmm. path. But you have to really, you know, if you want to become, you know, somebody who, you know, is achieving things or, you know, accomplishing different things. And I'm not at any way saying that that's me at all. But, you know, the things that I've really learned have been, you know, kind of the product of some of my most uncomfortable moments.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's a really good point. We actually talked about this, not last week's episode, but the week before. That was like a part of the leadership, like scholarship program I was in college. That was like one of the big things about the curriculum that they taught were like zones or zoning. And so you've got like your red zones, your yellow zones, and your green zones. And your red zones, like for some people, it's like public speaking or like roller coasters. Like, I mean, it can be anything from something super serious to something super unserious, but it's like terrifying to someone. Right. Then you have yellow zones where it's like, okay, I'm a little uncomfortable with this, but like, I'm not like freaking out. And then green where you're like super comfortable. You feel, you know, confident doing it. And, you know, they've really focused on how yellow zones are the part where you do the most growing and how it's important to change your red zones to your yellow, so then at some point they become green. So
yeah, I mean, and I think you and I and the partners have kind of seen that firsthand with some of the deals that we do in this office. Some are smooth and get to the green zone, really easily. And some, like one in particular that we're working on right now, continues to remain in the red zone.
Yeah. I'm constantly, I had a nightmare about it 2 nights ago.
Oh no.
I did. It was not good.
And it's not like do or die, but we're, it's a company we've invested in, and we're, working through things on it. And I would say that we're in a zone where a lot of people I would say we're in the orange zone, maybe the red to yellow.
Yeah.
If my color wheels are correct.
Transitioning, if you will.
Transitioning zone. But like this in particular is, we were in a zone that, I think a lot of people would have tossed the towel in and cut their losses and called it a day.
Yeah.
But it's something that we all believe in strongly, and something that we think can be so big. And so we just continue to work, and, we're losing money. Like, we are losing money right now, but know that will pay off in the long run.
Yeah. Well, it's also something we've just never, like, you've never done before. I've never done before. Like, it's a totally new breed of animal, really. Like, it's not, this is not, normal. So,
well, and I've talked, and you and I have talked, Ty and Morgan and I have talked, and, how the importance of like staying in your lane and doing what you know. And this is definitely something that was not in our lane. So, we've had to learn it by, essentially drinking through a fire hose and figuring it out. Like, you just, like, at the end of the day, like, figure it out. Like, what's the solution, right?
No, yeah, for sure. Well, and I think that leads into a really good discussion topic as far as like risk taking goes. I know you've discussed how you've had people in your life that are like, I wouldn't even necessarily say envious of you, but more so just like, like, how did you get to where you are? And I think the importance of risk taking is something that's a really good thing to talk about.
Yeah, no, I have what I would describe as like a pretty healthy appetite for risk. And, we can really get in the weeds of my personality and talk about like stuff, in my past that, probably just, ways my brain is wired that gives me that healthy appetite for risk. And that's not to say that it's not, a dangerous thing at times where I've got to really check myself and make sure that, it's not just something that I've got tunnel vision on, that it's something that is good. But yeah, no, I mean, like, you guys are in a perfect spot. Your generation and Emily and Caroline's generation, my daughters, are in a great spot where it's like, there is so much new technology. There are so many new avenues to learn and grow in our world now that like we're not even in our thought process when I was your age. And it's like, man, let's learn these new things. Let's learn these new technologies.
Yeah.
Like, I still like, I'm still learning like Chat GPT, and you guys have been using it for like years, know?
I don't know though. It's like more new for me as far as like, it kind of was on the come up when I was coming out of college. So I didn't really supplement a whole lot of my whole lot of my coursework with that. So, but no, yeah.
Have you seen the meme where it's like, I had to cheat in high school the old fashioned way by like, like I worked hard because I had to cheat in high school the old fashioned way. I had to like find my friends and copy off their tests, and like,
the fact that there is an old fashioned way is crazy.
Right.
It's so crazy. But no, it is so new. It's all so new, and there's just everything's coming out so fast now to a point where it's like,
yeah,
we're just having to roll with the punches.
When I was growing up, my granddad, like, he used to like say like, I tell people that if they want to, do something crazy, like they need to go study nuclear physics. And it's like, well, yeah, no, that if nuclear physics interested me, like, yeah, that would be the path. And we're now like shooting, rockets into space, and we're now shooting trash into space, and we're now, conducting a lot of people's internet usage from, satellites in space.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with that advice, like you truly have the potential to be the modern day Oppenheimer if you wanted to.
Yeah, you do, which is dangerous in itself.
Rough.
But no, I mean, the point that he was trying to make, I think, is just like, there's so much available to you that the average person isn't gonna, it's not even like a blip on their radar.
Yeah.
And just continue to like want to learn and, acquire knowledge and all those things.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, with that, let's talk about your college experience. And honestly, I mean, you can even go through like high school a little bit if you want to. Just like, let's talk about the journey to get to where you are.
Yeah, no, high school, college was an interesting time for me. Like I grew up with a, great family. Parents lived together, brother and sister who I'm really close to. I was the oldest, went to Oklahoma State.
Twins.
Let's go Pokes.
There's only one Oklahoma and it ends in state.
That's right. So I went to college, did 2 years at Oklahoma State in Stillwater. The summer after my sophomore year, I found out that my girlfriend at the time was pregnant with our oldest daughter. We moved to Tulsa. Was essentially forced to grow up really fast, and kind of figure out being a dad at 21 years old, which, at that point in time is really, really scary.
For sure.
But looking back, some of the most formidable years of my life, just because like, there's not a blueprint for that. Like, It's like, again, it's like, I took a path that like was probably, at the time very frustrating. My parents very hard on those around me. But like,
but also hard on you.
Right.
I mean, like and that, I think that's important to recognize. I mean, like you were in the midst of like, social activities, fraternity, whatever, like you had made your best friends at that point, and like you had to go on living a completely different lifestyle than what you were used to and what your friends were living, which is probably really difficult.
Yeah, no, it was hard. It was hard. And like, frankly, like, I was really, really depressed at that point in my life. I was not taking care of myself. I like was, I had a terrible diet. I was drinking way too much. I was putting things in my body that I shouldn't. And like literally I was like 310 pounds, like drunk every day, just a mess, like a gross human being, like just a disgusting person. Like I think about that person that I was, and it like kind of makes me like sick to think about, because it's just like that person was so sad. That person was so depressed. That person just didn't feel like life was worth living. And so, used alcohol to kind of numb any emotions that were present in my life, because I wanted to feel anything other than my life that I was living. And that is like super, super dark, but I think it's also like relatively common.
Yeah.
And more common than people think. And, it's just now becoming something that's like, kosher to talk about, like,
for sure,
kind of the mental aspect of like addiction and kind of how that disease like manifests itself.
Well, and I think people, yeah, for sure. I think people also invalidate the fact that you're not always a product of your environment. I think like people come into those different like darker periods of their lives, regardless if they had a good upbringing or not. And it's like, I feel like we've gotten to a point where in some way, shape, or form, it's less okay to discuss if you did have a good upbringing, because there's not necessarily an excuse for it, which I don't think is fair. I don't think it's fair at all. And I think like it's just as valid of an issue for you having had a good upbringing as it is for someone who grew up in a home where their parents were drunks, abusing them, what have you. Like,
yeah,
it's still an issue regardless. And it doesn't matter how you got there, but like, it's still something that you like will have in common with the people that you're in recovery with and everything else.
No, totally. And that's the other thing. It's like, Jake has literally everything going for him, like great family, they, take care of him. They help him out with, I had a ton of help, with our daughter when she was born. Like my parents were great. My ex's parents were great. We had all the support in the world, and I still had this, mentality of like, life is hard, life is bad.
Well, it really is a disease. And I think it's not, it's not picky with who it chooses either.
No, it definitely does not discriminate.
It doesn't discriminate.
And I know some like very successful high achievers, people that have accomplished, 1,000 times more than I have in my life, that have battled it and gotten through it. But I just think, it's something that's, important to get out there and talk about. But, mainly it's just like, with that all being said, the most important thing I have done in my life is get sober. Yeah. Right. Like it is the single most important thing that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. No. And I think also it's played a really impactful and just like a very big role in your role as a coach and as a dad, and as a boss. Like, I mean, like these are conversations that, we have here and there. And these are conversations that you have with like your own kid. Well, you will have with your own kids. Obviously they're a little bit young now for that, but I mean, it also in coaching. And I feel like it's super important because especially like with you being such a big role for young men, like I feel like it's almost less acceptable or less okay for men to talk about these things and these issues that they struggle with. And then they're led to mask it with alcohol, drugs, whatever. And so I think you're setting like a really key and important example for these younger kiddos to realize like, hey, like it's okay. Everybody has problems. Like, let's talk about them before they get to a point where it's like, okay, this is a really big issue.
Right. No, totally. And like, in coaching, like the different places I've coached, like, I've coached in like polar opposite places. Mm-hmm. So like small town Oklahoma where, I've met some of like the greatest people that I've ever known in my life. And it's a town called Blue Jacket, Oklahoma. Coached basketball there for 2 years. Like literally some of the greatest people. But yeah, no, it was prevalent in that community. And I was early in sobriety there. So I feel like one of the disservices that I kind of did was just like, I was kind of afraid to be as vulnerable about it with them. And some of those kids that I was really close to and some of the other teachers, like I confided in them about it. But really it wasn't almost until like after I left that like I really kind of had those hard conversations with people there. Yeah. And then, I coach at McGinnis where I went to school. Mm-hmm. And these kids are all, for the most part, a lot like me, a lot like I was. And they are, they have, for the most part, good upbringings, good parents, like, a solid community, a community that, loves them and supports them. But, at the end of the day, I've got to make sure that they know that they're not, special enough to, have like this disease come and, creep into their lives because it can, because like, no matter where you come from, like life gets hard. Yeah. It gets hard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, like another conversation that I've really appreciated having with you is like, I've talked with you about how I've heard people like in my college experience be like, well, it's not alcoholism and if you're in college, or it's not alcoholism when you're in high school.
I literally used to say that. Yeah. We'd be like hammered and I'd be like, oh, you can't be an alcoholic if you're in college. We'd all like laugh about it. And it's like, the irony of that is that no, like I learned in college that I could forget about everything else that was going on in my life, any problems that I had if I was drinking. Yeah. And it made me feel good. Yeah. Like drinking made me feel good. Exactly. And I could literally erase for a short period of time any problems that I have. But the thing is, then you wake up the next day and those problems are still there.
And a little bit scarier.
And they're a little scarier. So no, I would say like in college, I definitely, that was kind of where I figured that, like, you know, those bad things out. And, you know, it just like with everything that kind of happened in my life after that, it was truly a snowball effect, that, you know, led me to a place where like I had to look in the mirror and be like, you know, you are ruining your life. You're throwing it all away.
Yeah.
There has to be a change made, you know, kind of a rock bottom moment.
Yeah. How did your addiction transition from college into adulthood? Like, what did it look like as far as, you know, what your day-to-day looked like, you know, the way you went around your relationships with people or went about your relationships with people? Like, what did it look like?
Yeah, no. So it was like, you know, pretty classic, like social, you know, socially we would drink, you know, then we'd drink on the weekends in college. And then, you know, it would kind of, you know, turn into like during the week, like, hey, let's go out, you know, on a Wednesday, let's go out on a Tuesday. Let's go out every day this week to see if we can. Like, let's, you know, because that would be fun, you know, stupid stuff like that. And then like in the real world, it was like, you know, drinks with coworkers when you leave the office, you know, that turned into, you know, continuing to drink when you get home. You know, that turned into, and this didn't happen overnight, but, you know, it turns into like waking up in the morning and like being shaky and realizing that the only thing that makes those shakes go away is drinking some more. And so it just became this like vicious cycle for me of, you know, I needed alcohol to make me feel what I thought was normal.
Yeah. And you know, as far as like the lying and like masking it from people, what was that like?
Oh yeah. Lied to everybody about it.
Yeah.
I mean, literally it turns you into like, I mean, I've said it like 10 times already today, but just like an awful person. Like, lied to my wife about it, lied to coworkers about it. You know, you gaslight people into telling them that, like, you know, this was before like gaslighting became like a trendy buzzword to use.
I hate when stupid people use therapy talk, though. It's the worst.
Oh my gosh. Somebody hit me with that the other day. They were like, you're gaslighting. And I was like, no, I'm like telling you like
how it is.
You know, that's, you can't like reframe that. Like,
no.
But no, I digress. I was a manipulative liar. I would hide stuff in the house. I would, you know, drink on the way to work, on the way home from work. So it didn't look like I was drinking as much when I got home. I mean, it was awful. And I had, you know, I was a dad, like, right? Like, I mean, it's just like no way to live.
Yeah.
But like, it was my reality for a long time.
Yeah. What did the breaking point look like for you? Like, how did that happen?
I had like, you know, once again lied about my drinking for like the 1,000th time. And, moved out of the house for a little bit, was like living in a hotel, drinking, obviously, like round the clock. And like my only human interaction was with like the Domino's pizza guy who would like bring me like a large pepperoni pizza. And I was like 320 pounds, whatever. Like just a gross human being. And, not that like that specific number. It was just,
but like
I'm clocking it at like 195, 200 now.
You're
so
not naturally heavy. You're not naturally heavy set.
Right.
Like, yeah, right. I get you.
And it's just like, I remember looking in the mirror and like, you know, my wife had like come to see me and like, I give her a lot of credit. Like she like, you know, pushed me to like get help.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just remember like looking in the mirror and looking at myself and it's like, you're going to die or figure out a way out of this. And the way out of this is going to be really hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's either that or you are going to die. And so, thankfully I chose, option A, which is get out of it. And it took a long time and a lot of help and surrounding myself with a lot of people who had, gone through it themselves and were just passing it on to the next guy.
Yeah.
And, it's not like poof, here we are, but, no, equipped with the tools that like, hopefully, at the very least I can, pass it on to the next guy as much as possible. Cause there will be an ex guy, there will be an ex girl who is, dealing with this stuff. And not to mention, I mean, I feel like I'm taking over just rambling.
No. This is what I have you on for. This is the point.
Perfect. But no, not to mention when I talk about you guys or like Emily and Caroline, not to like loop you guys all in. You guys are different.
I mean, I have a little brother that's Emily's age.
You're Gen Z, they're Gen whatever.
Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha, yeah.
Sick.
But another thing is there's just like even more available to you guys, drug-wise, alcohol-wise.
The fentanyl crisis is at an all-time high right now.
No, and you want to talk about buzzwords, it's like the fentanyl crisis, but it's like, no, I mean, people need to hear that like there is a path from, street drugs, street pain pills, to prescription drugs, to fentanyl, maybe mix in some heroin in between. It's not a path I took, but it's a path that I've seen people take. And I've been to a lot of funerals of people who took that path. And they're young people. They're people who had their lives ahead of them. They're people who could have accomplished great things. They're people who, some of them came from tough backgrounds, but some of them came from great families. And it's like, it doesn't discriminate. And, I've literally sat in churches, looking at caskets of kids who've gone down that path. And it's like, the only thing we can do is make sure that as many people as possible are equipped with the knowledge of, this can happen to you. This is not gonna, only happen in like some poor, impoverished neighborhood.
Yeah,
like, this is gonna happen to you down the street, and you better be equipped with the tools to realize, like, that, I know what the end result is. I know the consequences of this. I know that these consequences outweigh my desire or peer pressure that I'm getting from others to, maybe want to try it just a little bit.
Yeah.
And you've got to just make sure people know that, or else, we're going to continue to see young people, die from these overdoses that we really aren't equipped to, handle as well as we act like we do.
Exactly.
Like, go to the Narcan vending machine at the club, test your drugs. Like
it's crazy.
There's a time in my life where I wouldn't necessarily say that like, testing drugs or testing, things in front of you is something that like true addicts really are going to do.
Yeah. No, and I think,
in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And I think I've really enjoyed or like just gained a lot of perspective from those conversations that we've had about the people that you were with in rehab and making friends with in rehab, and like your mindset going in versus your mindset coming out, and how it really doesn't discriminate. I mean, there were prestigious doctors, nurses, like businessmen,
airline pilots, everything. Yeah.
So many people that like at face value, and not even at face value, like you would deem them successful. Like, but right. We're really like behind closed doors, like struggling with a nasty ass disease that truly does not discriminate. I mean, I've had people in my family that have gone through it and are now sober. And it's like just the difference in seeing them before and after, as far as just, and not even just like in a way that it affects me, but just like there's just truly a weight and like a sadness and just this vibe that has like completely gone away, and like they feel like they're themselves again. And I think that's like the coolest part about it.
Oh, 100%. Because like life is so worth living, and life in like a clear headspace is so worth living.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. But yeah, tell us a bit about like what it was like going first into rehab and what your experience looks like in there, if you feel so inclined to share.
No, sure. I mean, I think like when I go like talk about this to people who are in recovery, like I talk about like, you know, kind of the beauty of, you know, being in there for the first time, and like you see people like, you know, kind of broken down to like, you know, their true authentic selves. And I think that's actually like a beautiful thing. Like you really got to see, I mean, you like to truly like kind of surrender and accept that you've got an issue and you need help. I mean, you really kind of come to a point where you're so vulnerable that like, you're not like, this sounds like cheesy, but it's like, you see the authenticity in people's like souls.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you see people who have done really, really bad things, who have, you know, hurt lots of people, and you're looking at them and you're like, man, you are a great person. Like you deep down are a great person who really wants to do good, but this has taken over your life for one reason or another. And like when I mean, and I like say all this now kind of is like, oh, everything went great, everything was good, but like, no, I was like I was a terrible person when I walked in there. Like I thought I was way too good for it. I thought that I was, you know, way more important than everybody else in there. I thought I was, you know, I had a company and I had a business and I was like this cool hot shot, and like
they had no executive suite or presidential suite in rehab, unfortunately.
No, they did not. You know, but like, yeah, no, when you get there, you realize we're all the same.
Yeah.
Like you share stories, you talk about things you did, you talk about bad things you did, and it's like, oh, this guy did it. This guy did it. Oh, we all did the same thing. I wonder why we did that. And then you kind of peel back the onion a little bit. You keep learning about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really cool thing. And, you know, I had counselors there that, you know, helped save my life. There were people there that were so influential to me, that equipped me with tools that I still like use today, not just like in recovery, but you know, kind of in life.
Yeah. And I think it's cool too, because you've like extended a lot of those connections that you made in there outside of it too. We talked about this last time. I was like, Jake, your rehab experience is kind of remnant of Love Island. It's kind of crazy. I'm kidding.
Yeah, we pull each other aside for chats on the reg. We that's actually how I start phone calls with people who are sober. I say, hey man,
can I pull you for a chat?
I'll pull you for a chat real quick.
I'm crying. No, it's a joke. I'm totally kidding. And you know that, but I have to make sure they know that too.
For sure.
But no, I think it's super respectable and admirable. And you're coming up on 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're a killer dad. We've gotten to see you in action. UNHB just got engaged recently. Which is so freaking awesome. I'm so excited about that. And just like, you're really killing it now. And I think like you truly are an example. You know, you hear people say like, well, you can be fun and be sober. And you're like, oh, Loserville, USA. Like, okay.
This guy sucks.
This guy sucks. But it's like, no, you really are a real life example of that, because I mean, holy hell. Like,
well, I hope so. I mean,
I hope
like,
you're a blast,
dude.
In your freaking
that is one thing that like, if you are like newly kind of like, you know, exploring sobriety, like that's hard. Like
for sure.
You're out with your friends, they're drinking, they're doing things that you used to do and you used to love. Like that's a hard position to be in. And I really feel like I was luckier, and I really can't pinpoint what it is that kind of allowed me to do that. But like, I was lucky enough where, I mean, you know, my friends were all very supportive of me. Like,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's great. And I mean, but I also didn't like come back in and like try to tell people like how to like live their own lives.
No.
Like I just have the mentality of like I'm not trying to like make, I'm trying to say that like my life is better and happier and good things have happened in sobriety, but I'm not trying to tell people, how to live their own lives. And like
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll walk in on a Monday after literally sleeping for well, this does not happen regularly. Let me just make that clear to the congregation of the church, okay? But no, like I mean, I went to Froze all day like a few weekends ago. Literally tore it up way too much. We treated it like it was like a game day, like 11 a.m. Like we're
sure,
and then no, I end up sleeping for 13 hours, and I come in and I tell you about it. You're like, dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like,
I woke up Sunday morning feeling great. I woke up about 7, had a cup of coffee, went to church with my kids.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, you really do set a good example for me too. Cause I mean, like, I really, after that, I really haven't been like, go hard in the paint, cray,
Well, I mean, and this is like probably it's not like the greatest advice, but it's like,
where are we going?
Again, you may struggle with the control of it, like in the moment, but at the end of the day, it's like you're further along than most to realize like, hey, this made me feel bad. Like this wasn't worth it.
For sure.
This is not something I want to do regularly.
No. God, no.
Yeah. But again, it's like, it's your life to live.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you have your own choices to make and it happens.
But I think I definitely have proceeded with a lot more caution as far as like post conversations that you and I have had about like your experience, just because I mean, I do come from a family, like addiction runs in the family for sure. Like, and I mean, and it doesn't just take form in alcohol and drugs, but it's also like shopping and like like gambling.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there are so many different things that like it can take its own form in. And no, I think it's been really good for me to like, this is a place I come to every day. And like these are conversations that we do have. And so it's like, I kind of know how to direct myself in a way where hopefully I don't ever have to like get to that point. And so, and not saying your story is a precautionary tale, but it's just like, I also did have a great upbringing. Like my parents were very supportive. They still are. I mean, I've been fairly privileged throughout my life. So, I mean, I guess fairly privileged is not a great combo of words. Unfairly privileged is probably better put. But I just meant a decent amount. But no, I think it definitely.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
You're lucky. We are. We do have some privilege. Like we're lucky.
Yeah. Like, but I definitely do think it like, it is good for me because I realize like, okay, hey, this is probably A, why am I doing this? B, is it affecting me in a positive way, or is it trying to mask something that I'm feeling at this moment in time? And I mean, that's ultimately kind of like how I guide which I don't drink to get, totally hammered all the time. Like sometimes it's just like one or two at dinner, like social thing.
Yeah.
But still, that's how it starts. So.
Well, it can. It can if your brain is wired that way. And
sponsor me, Fairlife. Just kidding.
It's when 1 or 2 turns into 2 or 3, turns into 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Turns into 6 or 7 over time. It's like kind of the true definition of it. I don't think alcohol definitely is a depressant.
Yeah.
But it's like a social norm in society, and people drink. Like it just, they do. Like, and people like to have a good time, and I love being around people who have a good time. I just, I hate the depression and the anxiety that comes with it after the fact. And it was bad for me. It's not like that for everybody, but it was for me.
In this office, we stick with fridge cigs. aka Diet Cokes. That's what they're calling them now.
Fridge cigs.
That's what they're calling them.
That's so
I don't know. I don't know why they're calling them that, but I mean, I do. I also think that it's deemed appropriate given. Yeah.
Well, no, I drink way too much caffeine during the day.
It's okay.
Like I love Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Aspartame.
Aspartame fills that hole in the heart.
Aspartame, caffeine.
It's just good shit. But no,
Truly.
That's not. Thanks for sharing. That was amazing. And I think a lot of people will gain a lot of good perspective and knowledge from it. But that's not all there is to you, man. I mean, holy shit. You've got so many other things going on. Yeah, we've got the Hope Brown. Won't have to change her last name when legal documentation. Freaking lucky bitch. I'm so jealous because I've heard that that's actually like the worst part of getting married is like having to
changing your name.
Like changing your name and like having to change your driver's license.
We're safe.
Like,
we're safe there. We're not related, but we're safe there.
You really are. I unfortunately did give your oldest child the advice to marry someone with the same last name, so she also will not have to change hers. And I said, just kidding. Don't marry them if they're a crap person.
Yeah. Yeah. No, truly. Like just, yeah.
No.
Want my kids to marry somebody that they love and they're compatible with.
Trust, I was joking.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
No, I know you.
We love Emily Brown and Caroline Brown and Brooks Brown. They're awesome. But
we need to get literally
gotta have them in here.
I think I literally think one of the best episodes you could ever have in here would be just like chopping it up with those two.
Hell
those
yeah.
girls.
No, I need Hope to come on here too. We could chop it up real good.
She would be like the best podcast host of all time.
No,
She's so funny.
I think she's gonna have to come on at some point. But no, so you've got a lot of things going for you right now. So you've got that. Just came back from all-time Europe trip, which was awesome.
Yeah, snuck away after the engagement. It was a lot of fun.
Super fun. And then dad, coach, basketball season's coming up. We love the Irish.
We love the
Go
Irish.
Green.
The Irish are posed for a good season.
Hell
We're
yeah.
excited about that.
No, it's awesome.
Also, Brooks Brown and the Beavers Friday Night Lights flag football team has their first practice in Height, and I'm the
whoop, whoop. Hell yeah.
proudly the assistant coach for the flag football team. So that's what I'm pumped for that tonight.
Is Brooks aware that this is not touch? Is he aware?
That it's not tackle?
Yeah, it's not tackle, not touch.
He's been told, but he doesn't. It's I don't think that matters. I think
smoking their butts, Dad.
I think penalty flags for tackling are in his future in flag football.
We love that for him. Dude, naturally competitive spirit, a little bit of aggression in there, and we love it.
We do love that.
But no, so you got that going on. We've got a book that hopefully you're going to want to come out with at some point in the future.
Yeah, no, that's a project that we put a lot of time and effort into, and you've helped me out with a bunch. And again, that's like, being vulnerable and like,
because it's scary.
Taking a risk. Yeah, I'm talking about it right now. It's like, man,
I can tell a little bit.
No, that's the meat. That's the dark stuff. Yeah. When that finally comes out, that's the meat of it. And I think it would be good long term and help a lot of people. And I just like when kind of I got connected with the person who helped me write that, it was like, I just want my kid, the goal of it was like, I want my kids to know they can do anything they want in the world. And bad stuff will happen along the way, but you can get through it. That was like the 50,000th of view. And then it turned into like getting into the nitty gritty and man,
it's a little nerve-wracking for sure. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with this shit. I'm like, I don't know.
Heck yeah.
I don't know who's watching, and God, like, hopefully no.
Yeah, I don't know who's gonna see this.
Hopefully no cancelable stuff is said. I don't know who sees it, but I can see where they see it from, so I can normally make a guess.
What's the distance? Not to send us like off track.
I think Nigeria.
That's sick. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, no, Nigeria, and then my friend,
farm. Like, that's sick. That's so cool.
No,
it's a real person. It's not a bot farm.
I hope
real.
not.
You have real fans in Nigeria.
Zimbabwe too.
Hell
which
yeah.
I think that was my lovely former professor Josh Taylor, who was on a study abroad with his students. But no, I love that was. I thank you for putting that place on the map for me, Josh.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
No, super cool. And then also
that's the goal of this.
Yeah,
right? That's the goal.
My one of my really good friends from high school who was a foreign exchange student, Andrea, she watched, I believe from Denmark. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So we're putting little dots across the globe. So it's fun. But I mean, too, like my friend that actually just got off the phone with Jasmine, one of my besties, she actually, like, whenever I came in here to just like practice filming with her and just shooting the shit, she'd actually asked me, like, before we had started, she was like, what ultimately do you think you're gonna feel if you're a year from now and you're still kind of in the same position as you were when you started? And I was like, honestly, like, I didn't start this whole. I mean, yeah, that would be great. Like, obviously, we want to monetize it and we will, but it's like, I didn't start this whole thing thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be Alex Cooper. Like, that's right. Awesome. Obviously, that would be awesome. That would be the goal. Like, that would be super sick.
Yeah.
But it's also like, it's a long ass learning curve.
Spotify, get this girl 100 million, please.
No, for sure. Like, I think though, I'm not the person that's gonna sit here and be like, oh my god, tell me more.
Right.
Like, and I think that's, people want to hear like the juicy hot goss or whatever of what's going on in the world, but also like, and not to say that she doesn't. She does have a lot of really great and authentic conversations with people. But, like, I want to go at a different level than what normally is done in, like, that aspect of the podcasting world. And also not, you know, focus on the shittier stuff and the harder stuff. But just have different kinds of conversations, for sure.
No, totally. And there'll be people who come in here that you have a lot of fun with and you laugh a bunch. And I hope that I can come back on and we could chop it up about, like, current events and just, like, bullshit that's going on in the world. No, like,
we're for sure going to. I mean, God, I still have, but if you have the time, a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, maybe time for, I have the time, but I'm nervous about what we're getting ready to fire off.
Oh yeah, no, we had some people that asked some questions that they wanted you to answer on our little sneak peek, first guest coming right up post. So one of my dear friends and listeners asked, how is work and life in Oklahoma City / Edmond? I've wanted to work there, but I've heard mixed things. Help a girl out.
How is work and life in Oklahoma City?
Yeah, like, what's it like? Personally, for me, literally the best decision I could have made post-grad, coming from a Reformed Texan. Like, I freaking love this city. It is a blast and a half, especially if you're post-grad. So,
well, I mean, and you've seen the metrics that we kind of look at on the real estate side, but you know, everything, all the data that we look at, like all the pure numbers that we look at, show that, like, people want to live in Oklahoma City. People are moving to Oklahoma City. People want to live in Oklahoma City.
It's the BLC, truly.
And I have, you know, spent time in, like, I've been all over the place for work.
Yeah.
And lived, you know, not permanently too far outside of this bubble, but have lived in a couple of different places. And Oklahoma City is the best place that I've ever lived. I grew
and you're
up
raising your kids here?
Grew up here, chose to raise my kids here. No, it's one of the fastest growing cities in America. We've got a plug that, you know, we're NBA champions. That's
lowest cost of living too.
Super low cost of living.
Yeah, NBA champions though.
Lots.
Dude, freaking awesome.
Let's go. I know.
Like, LFG, can't wait for this season. It's gonna be a blast. Yeah.
How about, like, hanging the banner in front of KD?
I know. Carson.
Game 1.
Carson was so, like kicking his feet, so giggly about that, because, like, he was,
it's
like,
diabolical.
I think, like, his biggest issue at his age, whenever that whole frenzy occurred, was said frenzy when KD just left. He, like he said, I think he told me he cried. Carson, if I'm wrong, I'm so sorry, but I believe you did tell me you cried.
Well, like,
we're so pissed.
I don't remember, like, specific. I mean, I do remember specific days when, like, big things happen, But like, there's recently an interview surfaced, and the interview's from like 2017, where like Kevin Durant talked about like how toxic Oklahoma City was. It's like, I can't believe people are not nice to me there when I come back, and it's like, bro, like
you literally,
like, what reality do you live in? We lost to the Warriors, then you joined the Warriors and won titles there. Like, I mean, like, I respect you as a basketball player, but of course we don't like you here. Like, no, get out of here.
Fun fact. So one of Carson's older brother's friends from high school got in like a Twitter war with Kevin Durant.
Everybody on earth gets in a Twitter war. That dude beefs on Twitter.
No, he beefs hella. And I mean, like,
I respect it, honestly. I wish I could beef with people on Twitter.
You should be a different like the next version of Dave Portnoy.
I think it would potentially affect my coaching employment if I like beef too much on Twitter.
That's fair. That's totally fair. But yeah, Clara, definitely you should move to Oklahoma City and Edmond.
No,
we can chop it up, have a blast.
Oklahoma City is a great place to live. There's a ton to do. The cost of living is cheap.
Exactly.
And you get just about everything. You can get big city feel, like I've lived downtown. You can get suburbs. You can get midtown. I mean, there's old historic homes. You can get to everything
in 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah.
It's so awesome.
Highways everywhere. Get everywhere in 20 minutes. 100%.
It's great.
No brainer.
Sydney, my girl, said thoughts on Love Island finale.
Oh, I forgot about it. That was so long ago.
It's got the reunion.
Hope's on the UK one right now.
The reunion's coming out soon.
I know. Can we come back to? We need to come back to that.
Okay.
We
come back at some point.
It was great though. It was a great season.
MHO.
Amaya Papaya.
Love her. I definitely think Iris and Pepe should have placed above Huda and Chris though. Sorry.
Huda was crazy. Amaya like only talked in like parables that didn't make sense, and like analogies that like you couldn't tie together, but somehow you were like, oh yeah, I kind of get what she's saying there.
Yeah, for sure. My favorite one was, oh gosh. It was like, I'm not going to keep getting a sugar rush from the word candy you're feeding me. I was like, that's what they do all the time now. I was like, damn girl, work it. Yeah, you got to start doing this. Clock it. Do it for the pod. Okay. So last question. In a relationship, if you decide to live together, do you split living expenses down the middle or on an income basis? We talked about this last time whenever we botched the recording.
Yeah, because you guys have just moved.
Yeah. So.
Oh, it's tricky. I mean, I think the most important thing is just to be able to like talk about money in a healthy way. If you're gonna make that choice and live with somebody, lay it all out on the table, because if you don't and something happens, like it just causes issues down the line. I'm a good example of that. But no, I mean, just, I think if you're truly in love with somebody, you truly, if you're, boyfriend, girlfriend, engaged, whatever, married, I think that as long as you guys are aligned in your views financially, you don't really have to go tick for tack on like, well, you got groceries, so I'm getting dinner. Or like, I paid the water bill, so you pay the electric bill. It's just like, it gets done, and there's an understanding that like really, you were both there to take care of the other, if you could. And it's like, you just don't spend more than you make.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's subjective. For me personally, we kind of split down the middle because we're pretty equivalent on the income scale. But I mean, we know too, it all comes out in the wash anyway. So it's like, and we honestly, to be super transparent, like we did have to figure out and we're still in the process of figuring it out. Like, when we go and get groceries, or like, not being tick for tack on like, okay, like, do we split this down the middle, or like there's some things that I buy that Carson doesn't want to exactly eat, or like vice versa. But no, I think it is very subjective, and it like you said, it's really just like being very upfront and honest about your financial situations and just communicating in a healthy fashion about money. And and I know this isn't like the path or the direction that a lot of people like to go, but I'm really glad that prior to getting engaged or married that we have moved in together and we've kind of figured out, you know, climbed the ladder and dealt with some of the obstacles, because like that would really effing suck. Like if we just get married and then we're having to figure all of that out and it just sucks. Like,
yeah,
but it works different for everyone. I know it would suck for me personally because like I'm naturally a defensive person and I do like to think I'm right most of the time, and like I know that I'm not always, but for me personally and for Carson, I think it's both worked out for us to live together prior.
Yeah.
So but it's good stuff.
No, those are all good points, and yeah, it's different for everybody, and you know, I'm definitely not an expert on it, but I just think that, you know, if you're truly with somebody that you care about and, you know, you want to be with them, then, you know, that stuff essentially is a wash and works itself out as long as you guys are clear on your goals and expectations.
Yeah.
Right?
Compromise and agreement, coming to an agreement is great, or coming to a consensus. But yeah, no, we'll definitely get into some funnier shit next time. I know I've taken up about an hour of your time now, but
let's go.
No, that was really great. I think these people have a lot to learn. As far as like financial stuff and private equity stuff too, we're gonna have to do a longer segment about that. So
yeah,
it's good stuff. Talk some finance, but no, super pumped. Glad that you told me about your Coldplay experience because that's coming up for me soon. Huge.
Oh yeah,
that's coming up.
That is like 2 weeks away.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It was it was true. I'm not like, well, I am now a huge Coldplay fan.
No, I've grown up on it, and so like I've always had like a really hardcore adoration for it, and I mean it's always been on my playlist. If I want to feel nostalgic or feel like I'm floating, like I'll go listen to Coldplay.
Well, it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to, if not the best.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. Definitely a great, very impactful episode. We'll keep you stay tuned on the book front for sure. But yeah, unironically, yet again, like, share, comment, review, subscribe, all the things.
Rise Higher.
Yeah.
Coming out.
Rise Higher.
One of these days.
It's gonna be a great one. Yeah. It's good stuff. But thanks so much for coming on.
You know, I'm
just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
I'm gonna go hike back to the old office and return some phone calls. And no, this is awesome. Keep doing what you're doing and keep churning out good content.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks for your positive feedback or feedback in general. If it's ever negative, share.
I will. No, I love this. I love that we're kind of creating a platform here for different people.
Yeah.
And no, keep it rolling.
All right, sick. Well, thanks, guys, and we'll see you next Thursday. Apologies for no episode last week. I was out of town for a work conference.
My fault. It was my fault.
No, it's not.
She was peddling fertilizer for me.
It's not your fault. It's just what happened. It had to happen.
Yeah.
It's a part of my real job, not my hobby job.
Shout out hobby jobs everywhere. I haven't heard that term in a while, but shout out hobby jobs.
But peace and love, everyone. See you next week.